Welcome to another day of Expect to be Moved with the Experienced Real Estate Partners. Today we have a little more intimate group, and we thought we would spotlight a little bit, take some time to have a conversation with some of our agents and just kind of get to know them a little bit better. Hopefully you'll get to know them a little bit better. And then we'll talk some real estate towards the end of it. So right now I'd like to first introduce one of our newer agents to the team. Her name is Angela Elgani. Is that how you pronounce it?
Elgani.
Yes. I got that right. Angela Elgani. And she's our personality girl. And she's got some exciting, like crazy backgrounds that's given her the personality that she has. That's been a good match with real estate because she's really, really good with people. And, you know, quick learner. She's been a quick study. You've actually had your license for years.
Yeah.
And then got away from it for a while, came back to it. So I wanted to just kind of let people get to know a little bit about you. So why don't you share what your background is and what brought you to our team and what's unique about Angela if one of our clients are working with you.
Okay. So, some funny little fact.
Fun facts. Angela, fun facts are...
I used to dance for Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera and Will Smith and Maya and Pink. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I was in movies you got served. Just a little fun fact.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah,
that's a shocker, isn't it?
Right? Yeah.
Who expected that?
Yes. So I did that for a very long time, but
yes, she has all the scoop.
I do have a lot of scoops, but I
doesn't give it
up. I can't say it. I can't say
but
it.
She knows.
And the music videos are awesome too.
Yeah.
Yes. And also a lot of those people were actually in my wedding, my previous marriage. I'm not married again, but
your only marriage.
Yeah, my
right?
only marriage.
Yes.
But anyways, yes. So I came to real estate. I love my whole life is helping people realize their dreams. And to me, real estate connects with that, helping people realize their dreams, whether the dream is build my family. Maybe I'm, starting out as a family, husband, wife, kids. Maybe I'm downsizing. Maybe I'm an investor. So I just like to help connect people and help them achieve their dreams. And that's my biggest point for being in real estate.
And you do a good job with it. You're a people pleaser, I think, right? You're kind of used to, based on your path and your history, you're used to being supportive of people.
Yes.
And knowing where to fill and to step up and help them whatever their dream is, right? You're always the guy that's fulfilling other people, propelling them and holding them up and support them, and you get pleasure and fulfillment out of that as well, right?
Yes.
So not super unusual to translate well into real estate as somebody that comes from a service industry, an entertainment industry. This is probably new to us. I can't remember if there's anybody else that we've had that's been quite that colorful in their background with the entertainment industry. But I can say that agents that I have helped mentor or launch their careers, which I've helped probably 45, 50 agents launch their careers in my years. And I can say that the service industry type personality or person usually does really well with translating over into real estate and picking up really quickly with helping people, because especially with buyers tend to connect with an agent because they like them, so we can offer the experience. You've had years experience behind you, but then being part of our team, we can offer an even broader array of experience because you're connected with us, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of get the best of both worlds with Angela because you're fun to be with. You have a electrifying personality and you like to serve.
Yes.
So that makes a really good agent. In addition, what you might lack in actual years and years and years of knowledge, you actually gain because you're connected with the group that has 27 years of knowledge and experience and strategy. So it's not always such a bad thing to pick up an agent that's newer, because you're still excited about the business. You're not beat up by the business, which a lot of people right now are beat up by the business. Let me tell you, it's been a rough couple of roads for agents. And anybody who's still hanging on is worth looking at. If we're hanging on and still making
And what I
some
want
money.
to say about Angela too, that positive energy that you were talking about, it feels very natural to Angela. So even if, you know, any of us could have difficult transactions or anything going on in the current state, I don't feel that would become something that would overtake your personality. You are naturally positive.
And it's not fake. That's Angela.
It's not fake. And so somebody who's looking to buy a home or invest, I mean, who better to align with than someone with that pure positive energy, that expectation that this will go well. This is going to go great. We're going to or if something comes up, we're going to handle it. You know, we've got this. And, you know, that's the essence of you,
I think
which I love.
The entertainment industry has taught me that things can go like blow up in the last second, you know, and that's
good training from
really.
this. Yeah.
I mean,
So it's actually a direct tie-in to
like
real
it can
estate.
totally change and blow up in the last second.
Right.
And what can we do in entertainment and also in real estate, but to pivot and turn and adapt as quickly as possible? That's how we can make the best of the situation.
And that's the story of real estate, is pivot.
Pivot. But that's where the team expertise comes in, because it's like there is a good chance that we have seen that happen before.
Yes.
This is how we pivoted.
And that's why I wanted to join a team. I had an option. Every agent has an option, right? They could choose to go solo, or they could choose to seek out a team. And I chose to seek out a team. I knew that having more heads together is better than just me by myself.
Right. Yes.
And ultimately, Kathy has like the most experience in the business here in this market. So I was it makes perfect sense to align myself with that.
And then you walked in and I was like, I know her. How weird.
And that's what you call winning strategy.
That's called St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Well, everybody knows that.
I thought it was like perfect synchronicity. I was like,
I know it's all fun and games sometimes too, but I do like to get on the strategy side of it. I also like to get on the contract side of it. There is a part of the entertainment industry that a lot of people don't see that I actually did still have to deal with, which was the contracts. I'm an independent contractor as an entertainer, performer, and they're constantly putting contracts in front of me. And I didn't always have access to a lawyer. So I had to learn how to read language and understand what that meant for me and how that would affect me.
Right.
And money and pay and things I could or could not do,
And
or
the music
things
industry.
I can or cannot say.
yeah.
So there are direct ties.
Yeah.
There's lots of direct ties of former occupations that come to real estate. So speaking of St. Louis, what school did you go to? High school.
Okay.
Got to ask the St.
I
Louis
went
question.
to Villa de Shane.
There you go.
I went to one of those private girls. Everyone in St. Louis, you guys know it.
Yes.
Catholic girls' school, Villa de Shane in Frontenac. But yeah, very proud of it though.
Yes.
And I met Miss Lauren.
That's
there.
how we know each other.
Yeah,
That's just tied back to high school.
yeah.
Just 10 years ago, right? 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was just 5 years ago.
5-year reunion.
Just
Such fast.
I knew I loved her.
So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Give us one exciting story or something that's happened from your past world that everybody would love to know that you're allowed to talk about.
Okay.
I mean, Britney's book just came out. No pressure. No pressure.
Spill the goods.
There's actually quite a
did she
few.
cheat
I'm not
with?
sure how that should go. I mean, that's why they were in my wedding, because it kind of seemed like we were family. We're on the road together.
Yeah.
We don't we're traveling for months at a time
Yes.
with just these people. So
Yeah.
you see them in the morning when we have to get on that 6 a.m. flight, and we're all like, what?
Yeah. Yes.
Just going to bed.
Yes.
Just going to bed usually. I'm
And we're
sure.
just trying, or we just came from going out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Club,
Hopping
to the
back
club
on
to the
bus.
airport.
And we're like, to the airport we
Yeah.
go, and we're all grabbing our bags. So I don't know. It's like so many things happen. I mean, we're so close, but I mean, I guess the fun part is that when I was with Britney, like there would be like a lot of guy models coming around that you wanted to talk to Britney, and so because we were always with her, the
Group.
dancers, I was always with her. So when she would get to go out and have fun, like a lot of times those guy models would talk to her, but she wasn't interested,
Right.
and then they'd start talking.
So you get the sloppy seconds. So she was your wingman.
Yes.
Not a bad movie.
Britney Spears, the
So I
wing
have to
woman
say,
for
there's a
Angela.
couple really
just
hot
digested.
ones like Tyson Beckford. That I was kind of like, okay. And a couple of other people that came around, some of those boy band guys.
Yeah.
We didn't go too far, but it was really
Yeah.
just nice for
It was fun.
the attention.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
good.
it wasn't really like, oh my gosh, we had an affair or something.
Yeah.
It was just like the attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
like, okay.
Not
Yes.
everybody can.
And
say
when
they
I get
got
to
that
tell
attention.
sometimes those stories, like, oh, this boy band member,
Yes.
we used to crush on each other.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
that's great.
It's such a fun life.
But yeah,
And
yeah.
you do have a daughter, right?
I do. She's 10 years old, getting bigger, but
Adorable.
And you also teach dance still.
I
correct?
teach
an
dance still.
exercise dance course as well on the
Yes,
side
and I
to
teach
get your
fitness
workout in
dance.
and help other people learn how
Yes.
to dance and be fit.
Yes, I help the young ones realize their dreams. But this is what I tell my parents. While I'm teaching them, those kids, like in this whole year, like school year time, I'm not only teaching them steps, sometimes I'm teaching them about life. Because I'm like, come on, you can do it if you try. You'd be surprised how many people get up there, or kids and adults. I can't do it. I can't
Why are you looking at Curtis?
I can't do this.
Dance class for
Yes.
Curtis.
Yeah.
Right.
Trust me, you can't dance.
And I'm just like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you let me take you, I will help you. And yes, you can. And more often than, like, I can't even say anyone who's said that they couldn't after they were with me. So I promise.
I love to be embarrassed in front of
You're
a
in
crowd.
good.
Come
Right.
Let's go. Let's go to Lifetime. Yeah.
She's
I
got you
won't
for that,
make you look
Curtis.
bad. I promise. My name is on that. I won't make you
Yes.
look bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, so I help children realize their dreams and push them to as far as they want to go. And then when I teach the adults, I just help them like relive like a youthful life and
Yeah.
kind of have that good vibe, good aura when they leave in my class. So
Awesome.
so exciting. Yes.
Sure.
Well, now you've got a little glimpse of
Yes.
our Angela and how fun she would be to work with. And
Yes.
maybe you can even get more good
Out of her.
gossip out of her.
Maybe.
as you become close in your
Yeah.
real estate journey. Maybe not. So kind of segueing in about backgrounds, right? Because I think it's important. I think our foundations of things that we've learned before real estate can really translate into real estate. And that brings me to Curtis. Curtis Blackford is a guy that has been with me for what, 7?
Well, started 11 years ago at Keller Williams.
11 years ago, you joined us at our Keller Williams office when I was an owner there. Worked for another team for a little while.
Just a cup of coffee, just to find out.
Yeah. So then, and I remember your beautiful teeth when you first reached out.
He's like,
Pressure.
I
He's like,
know.
what?
I was
You
like,
do have
that's
white
the agent
teeth."
with the teeth. They're really straight white teeth.
Yeah.
So, because I'm a teeth person, big time. So yeah, when you reached out back then, I had to look you up, and I was like, oh yeah, I know that's the guy with the teeth. I love it. So we met, and you decided to give this all girls band a try, right? And there's been a few guys over the years that have come and gone, but Curtis has been the
mainstay.
only man to be able to make it.
The only one
In
that's
this girl band.
out yet.
That's
Yeah.
right. We might
He holds
we might
his
gag
own.
on it every once in a while.
Right.
We
He
haven't
holds
spent
his
out.
own. Yeah.
So, but you have an interesting background too, because you also did something in your former life that required organization.
Not nearly
Yeah.
as fun. You should have let off with me.
Well,
Big finish.
It's something that's led you to be successful in real estate. So why don't you tell us a little snapshot about Curtis, who you are, what you came from?
Sure. So for about 25 years, I was in the restaurant industry, and I managed as many as 28 restaurants. So you're talking about 28 managers, 55 assistant managers, 160 shift managers.
Wow.
And there's a lot of problems that you have to solve. Very similar to this.
Yeah.
Big part of that was marketing. So I did that for 28 years. Was successful doing that. The franchise that I was working for went out of business. Company took it over, and then I started looking for other options. So this was perfect for me because I think that of us as a marketing company that sells real estate,
Yes.
and that's a big part of what I did in the past was marketing and how do we increase sales, those type of things. So we have a huge marketing end of this. When I explain that to my clients, they love that idea because they know that a real estate agent, you have to differentiate yourself from other agents. So the way I did that was to start with Kathy and to learn about her successes. We learn as a team. And so that's sort of what brought me here. And that's what helped me sort of grow the last 11 years with Kathy.
And let's be honest and face it. You don't have a problem with marketing. You don't like the spotlight.
I do not like the spotlight.
Right? So marketing and real estate not only is the house which you have no problem showcasing the house, right? So no problem that type of marketing. But there's also a piece of marketing in real estate that requires self-marketing because we are all out there fighting tooth and nail for the attention of the consumer. When there's 10,000 or 12,000 other agents to pick from, you kind of got to do a lot of pick me sometimes. And that's something that you struggle with because you're not that guy. You like to promote other things, but you don't love to promote yourself, right?
That's correct. I do a lot of referral business. So once I get a client,
different story because you're relational.
Correct.
Yep.
but as far as dancing and singing on Facebook and saying, look at me.
So no TikTok channel for Curtis today? Dang it, don't try.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's important to talk about that because I think that is a stumbling block for a lot of agents, right? I mean, it's hard for
A lot
us
of people.
to even sit down and start rolling and talking because we're all our worst critic, right? We're all our worst critic. But the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it. And you finally get to the point where you're like, I don't care. So I love the fact that Curtis absolutely hates this right now. But he
does
willing to
such a
do
good
it.
job.
He rolls with the punches. He's the most loyal guy. He shows up for everything. He does not miss meetings. He does not miss this filming, even though he would rather pull his toenails out than be here right now. And that says a lot about his personality and his character because he is willing to get out of his comfort zone to do what the team thinks is the best thing to do. And also him being a part of this team allows him to maybe be a little more excited or willing to promote us instead of feeling like it's him. Because I think that's a struggling point for a lot of people. I was that way. Gosh, I was such an introvert in the beginning. It was hard for me to brag on myself because you feel like you're bragging on yourself and that feels very weird. It's so much easier to brag about somebody else or to brag about a group, right? So I think that's something that's really helpful with being part of a successful group or team is if that is your personality type, that you can kind of hitch your wagon and rah what's happening around you and feel like you're being less awkward and self-centered by talking. So we lassoed him into this interview today.
Sprung it on him.
But yes, see, it's not so painful, is it? And you're a dog guy, right? Tell us about your loves and your passions and your personal life. So give us a glimpse of Curtis behind the scenes.
Goodness. So we have 2 little Yorkies that are just adorable.
That are your babies.
They're our investment. They're our
Unfortunately. No, they emptied your 401k.
Right. Yeah. Lots of health problems, but we always want them to be as healthy as they want to be. So Nico is visually stimulated. So when Nico's being a little jerk, we can actually put him on the end of the bed, put Secretariat on the movie, and he sits there for an hour and 51 minutes
Really?
and watches this movie.
I didn't know that.
So he got diabetes at the beginning of COVID. The poor guy went blind.
Oh, so
So we found an optometrist that could restore his eyesight. And as soon as they woke him up, the optometrist said that they could not put him in a cage. They couldn't let him down. He just would not, and he wouldn't go back to sleep. His eyes were just wide open.
He's like,
They had to take turns. They had to take turns holding him. They called him Little Man. So
Curtis's big why and why you need to sell houses is to pay for your puppy's medical bills.
so Nico has
Please help support the puppies.
yes, please.
Nico has
Curtis Blackford.
an optometrist. He has an oncologist. Lucy has an oncologist. She has a dermatologist, and she has an ENT specialist.
That's more specialist than I have.
So we decided to get dog insurance when they were about 7 years old, right? So the vet filled everything out, and nothing was covered because they already had everything.
So they didn't allow pre-existing, huh?
Didn't allow pre-existing. So after a couple of years of paying this, don't ask me why it took a couple of years, we canceled it. And they said, well, they haven't had cancer. What happens if they get cancer? I said, I'll buy them a Big Mac. What do you?
Yeah, we're not gonna. I don't believe that. You're gonna
Right?
do every
Probably.
chemotherapy and
Yeah.
you're gonna
Big
do all
talker.
the things. Yeah.
Yeah. So no cancer yet, right? We're good.
I don't think.
Both of the dogs have had cancer. Both of the dogs have had cancer.
After you canceled your policy.
and right.
But
and
they
so
recovered.
It's been removed, and every 3 months, both dogs go in for X-rays to make sure that
Nice.
it's not doesn't come
That's
back. So
Nice.
Yes.
They are sweet little babies. Now you're married to Miss Kimmy,
yes,
and she's a marketing
she
guru,
is.
right?
She is. She's a publication manager,
Yeah.
actually, for houseplans. Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it is perfect.
So she's got over, I don't know what she said, 27,000 different designs that she has that she works with. So the marketing piece of it, the housing piece of it, it's a perfect fit for what I do.
So that makes sense for, I would consider Curtis one of our new construction experts. So if you've ever thought about building a house and you don't know why a real estate agent would be instrumental to that process, I can tell you 100 reasons why. But not someone that doesn't have any experience in it, right? Necessarily. Now they can be instrumental in the contract and things like that and using some of our resources. But I would say Curtis has helped dozens of people, if not more, build houses from the ground up. And then obviously having your wife kind of in the background, educating you and schooling you on some of the floor plans and seeing ideas, because a lot of times people in St. Louis don't have a lot of vision. And so just walking through houses and going, what if we had the builder take this wall down? Or what if we flip the fireplace from here? That you probably don't even realize that you're getting ideas dropped into your head from just having that in your same household. Having your wife, Kim, as a bonus guide, I guess, knowledge bomb back there. And then also you are very investor friendly. So you've had the good fortune of dealing with several of our investors in town, be it consistently their agent. So tell us a little bit about what you love about working with investors.
Sure.
And anything you want to talk about.
And why investors like to work with me is
That too.
when I run a comp for an area, I do not overprice that comp. So just to get
To win the listing,
win that
like, to
listing.
make sure they list with you.
because I don't want to be that guy, because I've
Yeah.
taken over listings from that person that's done that, and it's not appreciated. Their money's fixed in that. They need to know exactly what they're going to make. So when I comp the areas, it's an exact comp. Yet I don't comp it for miles out, so that it to get bigger numbers. And I've
That's a phenomenon that was called in our lingo, and the business is called buying the listing. So what he's talking about is a lot of times realtors do not feel that they can be forthcoming with their real thoughts on pricing because their client is kind of wagging the dog with the tail. We're letting the client kind of tell us what they want or what they need. And when that price doesn't always ring true with our gut, it becomes a tough conversation. And if you think about the nature of real estate when you're interviewing to be someone's listing agent, you're on a job interview. And then you're coming to this job interview saying not what the interviewer wants to hear, right? So it's really tough to overcome those conversations and still get chosen for the job. So a lot of times what happens is realtors will buy the listing by padding their chances of getting selected by the seller because they tell the seller what they want to hear, to get their foot in the door, to get your name on the contract, dotted line signed, and now you're in relationship and in contract with this listing agent. Then you get the dreaded, we need to reduce the price a couple weeks in, which was probably where the conversation you should have had in the first place. But now you've got days on the market, a little bit of stigma being on the market. And now we call that chasing the market or chasing the buyer instead of coming out where you should come out in the first place, which is always a little bit of a can be trial and error. It's not an exact science to price a house. So we do our best to try to figure, where do we think your house is going to fare the best to get the most amount of eyeballs, so that out of those eyeballs, some of those people shake out to be interested parties that make you an offer, and potentially you have more than one to pick from.
Right.
That's what drives the prices for a seller. But if we start too high and then that doesn't work, now we've lost the carrot, right? The carrot's moved from in front of the buyers to now all of a sudden we're kind of chasing the market to say, please come back.
Yeah.
We've changed our price. Make us an offer. Motivated seller, like all that kind of stuff, which then puts a whole different spin on the mindset of the buyer, right? So that's what you mean by being honest with the investor. And sometimes, unfortunately, they'll go with somebody else. And then we've had situations where one of your people went for a while and chased the buying the listings, and then they came back. So
Just did, yes.
yeah, I definitely give you credit for that. And you're knowledgeable because you've helped people that were in the flip situations. You're very knowledgeable with contractors and helping other investors get into these properties as well. And then just touch on the new construction that I talked about too, because I think you're
So the new
amazing
construction
at that.
piece is interesting because the people in new construction aren't representing the buyer; they're representing their entity, the seller.
Yeah.
And so if there's a deal to be made, or if you can save some money, if you want to upgrade a kitchen package and it's a certain amount of money, negotiate the kitchen package as far as the price coming down a little bit. I also have done several where I find the land for the people. And then a lot of the builders out here will build on the land. That's the other piece of it, being able to know the land prices, what land goes for, what makes sense for your client. So there's a lot of different ways to help a buyer. And the salespeople are also not going to tell you that I suggest at 10 months you have an inspection done on the house. You turn in your punch list at 11 months. At 10 months, have an inspection done on the house. Have a professional go through your house with a fine-tooth comb, spend the $400 or $500 and get a good assessment of your home. You've got a large investment in it already. The $400 or $500 isn't going to be a deal maker.
Yeah. And I think another thing that I've noticed that you do well is when you're building a house, our people have certain budgets, and everything is always higher than what you think it's going to be. That base price is never going to be, you're not even going to be close. You're going to first go in and say, I want to make this change, it adds this and add this, and then the price goes up. Then you go through a second round of your color selection. So we've already now came in higher than what you expect to at the contract signing, just because you're adding some options to your floor plans. Then you go through color selection, and color selection is sitting down and going, oh, okay, now you've picked your floor plan and your how many car garage, and are you going to have a patio or a deck, and are you going to do crown molding and stuff like that? That's kind of first round. Then second round comes in, it's like, okay, great. Now what kitchen cabinets are you going to pick? Oh, you want it the colonial style, or you want it shaker? Oh, that's a fourth upgrade. Oh, you want it cream or white, or you want the rustic mahogany? Oh, that's a sixth upgrade. So you start adding up again. Oh, you wanted a different shingle. You wanted that color shingle. Oh, that's a third upgrade. So a lot of that you don't realize is going to hit you later on. But Curtis, who's been through the stage millions of times, already knows that. So he's prepping our buyers to be prepared for that and keep that extra budget set aside, because he knows it's going to cost more. But also, he can be the voice of reason of, listen, don't skimp on the third car garage. Don't skimp on the deep pour in the basement when you're going to finish your basement. For the crown molding and fluted door cases and, upgraded wood floors everywhere, because there's certain pieces and aspects of a house that catch people's eye decoratively, but they're not something that can't be changed later. Whereas the footprint of a house, the big things, the master bedroom feels tight. You know what? Let's look at what's it going to cost to cantilever and back that wall up and make this master bedroom bigger. I actually had a luxury house one time that there was a different agent that worked with them. They're not here anymore. And they didn't suggest some of those things. And then those people fell on hard times and they needed to sell their house. And I remember I had to take it over for this agent that didn't last on our team. And I remember walking through their house right after it was constructed. And I was like, this master bedroom is tiny for this price point. Oh my gosh. And the way it was situated, it wouldn't have been that much to take that sidewall and bump it out 2 feet and add to that master bedroom, because I was really concerned that on resale, because that's what I'm getting at, setting you up for success on your choices for resale. On resale, what was the number one thing I kept hearing on feedback when we had to sell the house? Master bedroom's too small. And I was like, oh, like that's something that a true new construction expert will stop and make you think, or at least point it out and give you the option to change it, because those people blew out their kitchen with all kinds of super high grade upgrades with appliances. They did double kitchen islands and all these things that the cost of that second kitchen island and some of the upgrades in the kitchen would have blown that whole sidewall out and made a difference. And they ended up having to sell that house in short sale, which was really, really sad. So that's my prime example story of why it's important to involve people like us that know these horror stories, that see the mistakes that other people have made and stop you from making those mistakes.
But builders have a punch list. Garage guys, there's a garage door, but it's called a jack shaft. You don't see the garage, you don't see it in the ceiling. It's on the sides. Ranch style homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $14,000 with some of the builders to add another bathroom to it, add a half bath. It's not expensive. They're not going to ask you. Transom windows in bathrooms and walk-in closets that are out, that showing the outside of the house. All these little things that don't
adding some natural light.
Do now what you can't do later. Add 2 feet in your garage, especially
rough ends in the lower level, right? You don't want to break up concrete later or have your next buyer like, I really like that house, but there's not a rough end and I got to put a bedroom and bathroom down there. It's going to cost me money to break up that concrete.
Simple things. They're not going to ask you if you want to spend a little bit of money to widen your driveway by 2 feet on each side. So when you have company that gets out of your car, they're not stepping in wet grass, not stepping in snow.
Or driving over your sprinkler system, which happens at my house, whoever you are. Shame on you. Yes.
So there's just a lot of things. I've got a long list of them. They're not going to ask you. They're going to go through their punch list, but there's a lot of things that can add value and convenience to your home that they're just not going to have on their punch list.
This brings up an important point, because a lot of buyers sometimes don't think they need an agent when they go look at new construction homes, or they somehow get talked out of.
That's crazy. So it's crazy stories.
So,
It is. And something as simple as for $200, you have granite, you can have a button on the top of your granite that does your disposal. You're not opening the door, you're not bending over, you're not flipping a switch. That's not on their punch list. There's just so many little things, convenience-wise, that add value later, resale.
Even just adding electrical outlets or adding outlets in your eaves, because you happen to be a Christmas lights person, so you don't have to run extension cords everywhere because you've added lights in your eaves. I've learned years ago to add electrical in the walk-in closets, because a lot of times you want to iron in there. And then there's no electric. You're like, that's, that would have been a $100 fix just to add that electric.
People that like Christmas lights, for $250, you can add an outlet under your eave. And a switch in your garage, you can turn your Christmas lights on and off. It's just not on their punch list. It doesn't cost that much, and it's just a huge thing down the road. And people aren't going to think of it. You build a house once every, 7 years? Maybe once. So
that's really
it's really worth the partnership with the right agent to ensure that what you're doing now isn't going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars later on your resale. So if you do something weird, it might not be a big cost differential now, but in the future, when it takes buyers out of play on your house, then it makes the demand go down. When demand goes down, the price comes down. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So that's why Curtis is one of our superstars with new construction. So anything else you guys can think about? Our only male experienced real estate partner.
And he's also very fun to be
I was
around
going to say
and
funny.
to be with. So
Funny, yes.
You're nice.
yes, so you definitely have an enjoyable time working
Yes.
with Curtis.
Yeah.
I just can't go to the club.
Spending time.
He can't
He
dance.
can't dance,
Cannot
but
dance.
he's fun
So
to
if
be
you
with.
want a dancer,
And
Right.
stay that way.
Curtis is not the guy.
Right.
I'm going to get him to dance, and I'm going to video it.
All right.
Great.
We'll do Curtis's first TikTok.
Awesome.
Can you do Running Man? Did you Running Man?
Oh, that would be a good one.
Or the moonwalk? You want that? All right. So
Okay.
that leaves us with Miss Lauren.
Hoping
Lauren is
Yeah.
a fixture at our office every day, even though she is not a realtor.
not
So why does Lauren sit at our office every day?
yeah.
Is our amazing loan partner.
Yes.
And with New American Funding, you service our team. You also service my husband's organization.
Right.
So Steve Strick
Yeah.
is a vice president at New American Funding and has multiple, I guess, branches or divisions, I guess. He has a PCS, Pay It Forward military division. And
Yep.
Lauren, you're very instrumental in
Yes,
servicing that. So we'll
Yes.
talk a little bit about that. But let's first start with who you are,
Goodness.
what your background was, because this again goes hand in hand to what I was saying about Angela and some of the agents in the past that I've mentored that have been very successful in real estate came from the service industry, but they also, some of them came from the teaching industry.
Right. Yes.
That brings us to Miss Lauren.
So this
tell us
was
about
just
your
a total change of career, change of life. I think at the time when I came into the mortgage industry, I don't even know if I really knew what a mortgage was beyond just
Paying your bill?
paying your bill. So the suggestion that was given to me to look into it was really kind of surprising. But yeah, I came from a teaching background. I have my master's in education. I taught at private independent schools in Chicago and in Scottsdale, Arizona, taught Catholic school here in St. Louis. And, and then I also was a little bit in home staging, interior design. So I had this home kind of angle too that I loved. We all have multiple things that we like to do.
You were a stager for a while.
I was in home staging here in St. Louis for a wonderful company, and was just kind of trying to figure out what is my next move in life. And the idea of being a loan officer kind of came into my world. And I said to the person who was suggesting it, why would that even be on your mind? Well, there's a lot of teaching that is involved with talking to people about what their options are. If you don't really know what a mortgage is, how do you think most of the average population out there, so especially with first-time home buyers, really any home buyers,
I was going to say, even if
It's,
you are a
you know,
homeowner, you don't do
Yeah.
this often. Now that used to be 7-year move average. Now it's up to like somewhere between 10 and 12 years. In between people moving, you forget everything.
you forget everything, and the guidelines have changed so much, and certainly in the mortgage world,
Right.
they've majorly changed. Now someone in my position has to be licensed. The whole U.S. housing industry, it almost crashed many years ago. So, and a lot of that hinged on the lending practices that were happening with the banks, and so people like me have to be licensed. In order to do that, I had to study for a test. Well, that was right up my alley. I'm like, well, I can study for tests. So that kind of brought me, I was introduced to your husband, and it was kind of, the rest was history.
Yeah, so Steve went to school with your brother, right?
Yeah, but we
Wasn't
didn't
that-
even know that at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that connection was kind of I didn't know it at
Again, St.
first.
Louis.
It's just
Somewhere
St.
we're tied
Louis,
together
but it's
at
like
some
your
point.
last name, and then it was like, oh yeah, my brother, and that it was kind of like, again, that perfect synchronicity where people just cross paths and it works out. So
And then you ended up kind of coming in here and
Yes.
being
yes,
being mentored at the time.
I was being mentored, and we had a brokerage in Florida that myself and my mentor kind of tag teamed together. And then I took on the military program. So I do a lot of VA loans for military members who are PCSing. That means permanent change of station. So they have to move military bases every 3 years usually. So it's a great program where we're helping those military recurring help. Yes. And the person I was working with didn't really do the VA loans, or our team did, but she didn't specialize in it. I said, no problem, let me take that on. And
then we fell in love with you here.
well, I
our
fell in love with
team
you.
Fell in love with Miss
Yes.
Lauren.
So
She was a perfect fit for our personality, and
it's
you were
like a
here.
family here. I mean, this is a no-brainer for anyone, whether you want to join this team as a real estate agent, you're interested in knowing more about mortgages. I mean, you all are a breath of fresh air. So it was easy. It was easy.
So you're licensed in multiple
I
states.
am. I am
Right.
licensed in multiple states, and my team can help. And
Right.
anyone on my team, we can help with any state except for New York, which is also very common in the lending world.
Yes.
But maybe we're working on it. But
Get on it.
every state, and and you're spearheading also a really important mortgage program.
So I was going to say you're one of the original partners
Yes,
to
yes.
help guinea pig the dual license program that we have with New American Funding. So
yes,
you are a loan partner to our agents
yes,
that get licensed in mortgage, and then we make sure that is a really seamless process because it's getting the agent involved on the mortgage side of things, but not putting
right,
everything on the agent.
Right.
So then the agent is taxed with 2 complete,
right,
really detailed transactions,
Right.
which in the past has been, dual license has been legal forever, right? On conventional loans. Now it's on VA and FHA too. But the pushback for people was that typically the agents that were dual license were trying to do the entire process
right,
of both sides the same, and it's hard to be a master of one,
yes,
right? When you're being the jack of all trades. So I get some of the pushback on that. So our model, with me being a broker owner for all these years,
right,
realize that I don't want to sacrifice the real estate specialty or expertise by stretching someone too thin,
right,
by then saying, oh yes, let's have them do the whole mortgage side too. So the idea of the two of you coming together to kind of break that wall down that's been there forever between what happens on the real estate side and what happens on the mortgage side, that now comes down as the agent being licensed in mortgage too, and allows a much tighter partnership to happen between you and the agent. And then you are that voice on the background that is the expert on the day-to-day pieces.
We
of
still
what's
handle
happening in
the
process.
everyday processing of the loan,
Right.
As the loan officer. But the agent who is licensed also has an opportunity to be able to peek back behind the curtain, have total transparency as to what's going on in the loan process, so they can be prepared, which is amazing.
So much better for the
If
customer.
you have a good loan officer, they're going to be pretty darn transparent with you. I mean, I am
As much as you
as
can,
much as you can,
legally.
with still being keeping their information confidential.
Right.
But this is a true way that they can have full transparency, and then also have the opportunity to share in the in the commissions, or the mortgage money associated with it.
Right.
And then of course build a downline. But we could do a whole video about
We will.
this. But Kathy is my partner. So when she extends that loan application link to one of her clients, I then have the opportunity to jump in and process the loan. And then we have partnership and the commissions on that.
Yes.
So
It's a great program. It's a kind of a one-stop shop for our clients. And then it also, like I said, allows me as an agent much more visibility as to what's happening through the entire loan process so that I can protect our buyers on the front end with the contractual obligations. Because that's the biggest problem as real estate agents that we run into, is when we're kind of running blind with what's happening over here, where the money's coming from. And let's face it, no money, no closing. Right? No money, no closing. And then no closing, obligations and liabilities potentially could be plaguing the client. So as your fiduciary that's really running the plays on your contract, yet we're not hearing from the sideline coaches what are going on, because the title and mortgage are the sidelines to this whole play getting successful, going through, right, for the touchdown. I use a football analogy. Hope I'm using it right. Don't pick on me if I'm not. That to me, like, this was the key as the broker to be like the light bulb, and like, aha, this is a better.
This transaction does not happen without the loan. And now you can actually have, I don't know if control is the right word, but you have more of that transparency to really think ahead. Okay, this deadline is coming up. If there's something going on that's a little interesting, let's talk about it, because maybe we can pivot.
Happening as it's happening, instead of hearing about it
right
after the fact, after the loan officer and the lender is trying to fix whatever it was before they bring it to our attention. Because let's face it, typically that's what happens.
It happens.
And
not to say that
there's not reasons for it, but what a lot of lenders don't understand is, had we known something a little earlier, we could have been in a part of time frame with the contract to make some changes to ensure a little protection for our buyer in case something didn't work out the way we were expecting it to be. So hearing about it too late in the game sometimes takes away our ability to protect it. So to me, that's what the biggest part, an exciting part about rolling this program out, was it closes that gap. And it just makes the process a better process. So I get to work with you really closely with that. And she's a phenomenal loan officer, phenomenal loan partner. So I'm definitely excited to have her. Is there anything you guys have to say about Lauren?
I love her communication. I mean, I feel like we're working a deal. Like, she's so communicative. I don't know, like, again, I haven't worked with any other lending partners, but I love how she was. I felt like she was in it with me. She communicated everything that I needed to know, and it just helped me with my client. So seamless, and
it's making it team, more of a team, and that's what's so important about having your loan officer nearby, just present. You can get them at any time. This really is your transaction, and if it doesn't close, it doesn't close. So
I would call Lori's randomly sometimes, like, oh my gosh,
9 o'clock at night doesn't matter.
I'm
what are we thinking about?
What's happening? And like, let's talk shop for a second. Something could be coming up. I just really enjoy the teamwork.
But also, we learn about, even just hearing about Curtis's transactions, hearing about Angela's transactions, hearing about Kathy's, we absorb so much from each other. So even though you're in the real estate world and I'm in the lending world, they are so intertwined that I'm just sitting here listening to you talk about the contract.
But different.
They're so intertwined but different. Now, I'm sitting here reading over your contracts too, but I'm maybe honing in on the financing section or, things like that. But I'm hearing you talk about other parts of the contract that bring my whole lending business is really fleshed out by understanding all of that. And maybe same for you too.
It is.
You have a client that might be getting a unique loan type or something. Lord, tell me about how, now would that work? You and I, we've talked about a few different clients. Like, tell me about this certain client. Maybe they have this unique situation. Would that work? Or what would they need to do to make that work? And I'm like, you know what? That's an awesome question. I know they need this and this, but let me find out, because we have so many unique products that, we have hundreds of
and I have to say, I'm not trying to cut you off. All I'm saying is that I have clients that come ask me questions. Maybe like as a realtor, they're asking me actually the
lending questions.
Do you see what I mean?
Just text me really quick on the side, like, how much
have this relationship? I'm comfortable with taking that question. If I don't know the answer, if I haven't already sort of kind of run through this situation with Lauren, I feel totally comfortable being like, hey, let's run this situation. Could it work this way? They're saying this, maybe if and or but.
And there's so much gray area too, so it's awesome that we can sit and talk about, or just, I'm like, just text me on the side. You'll look like the total expert, they're like, that's 5% down.
Yeah.
That's, just tell them,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's
And it
just-
helps with the clients. And right now, I think like most recently, one of my clients is a friend. So, it's more than just a consumer.
Right.
And I'm providing information, and I
Right.
want to provide quality information
Right.
to the consumer, to my client, to my friend.
Yeah.
And Lauren,
some of this-
brings so much value for that.
Well, some of this information is just needed so much on the front end, even before maybe the home search
Yes.
starts.
Yes.
It's like I'm that early on person that, unless they're an experienced investor, which you have a lot of those clients, and even then, unique things can come up.
Totally.
But
Well, we've determined
get them
people
ready.
were eligible for this cash program that you and I kind of guinea pigged again.
yeah,
Here together, and that's just through conversations
yeah,
early on with our clients that I would not have known about, to be able, as I'm at a listing appointment, talking to someone that's figuring out, when are we going to sell your house, when are we going to buy,
yeah.
and the challenge is there. And then as I'm hearing what they're saying, because I learned about these other loan programs that are now made available, my light bulb's going off, whereas before it never would have, because I didn't have that tool in my box.
Wait a second. We
Yes.
can make you a cash buyer. You don't actually have to sell
first.
sell first, which for any other loan, if they needed to sell for their debt to income ratio, you don't have to do it. You just get to be a cash buyer. You can compete with all the other cash buyers, and boom, you have a win for your client.
Yep.
They get to use my program, which is exciting. And then, she's saying we guinea pigged it because we had one of the first ones to go through, and it worked.
Yeah, we worked out good together.
Boom.
It's great.
They're in the home now, and they're so happy, and they got to be cash buyers. They're getting a mortgage behind the scenes, but they got to be cash buyers.
So
And that's something else, because you and I talk in the office and around, like right now, everyone's talking about the interest rates.
Yes.
And is it going to come down? Should I wait to buy?
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Let's talk
because I
about it.
know
Yeah.
Lauren has talked about
let's talk
it,
to Lori.
they can refi after 6 months to a year,
Yeah.
maybe with no
With no
fee.
lender
No
fees.
lender fee, no
So
appraisal.
I can
5
say
years.
this information confidently and to my clients, and they're like, "Oh, really?"
And you wouldn't know that if you weren't sitting here hearing her talk about it to people day in and day out, right?
Sometimes I'm just on the phone or whatever, and you're hearing me say it to your buyers, or just, okay, do you really want to wait for interest rates to be whatever number it is in your head? Okay, well, just know that the minute that those rates become that, how many other people are thinking the same exact thing that you are? Now they all want to jump in the market. Well, what does that do to home prices, right? Everybody jumps in on the same houses at the same time, they go up. Listen, you can change your interest rate, but you are not going to be able to change the purchase price of that home.
Exactly.
So it's in your best interest, if you feel that you're ready, which I can help you decide if you think you're ready. But if you feel ready enough, it's probably a good idea to get in the game versus wait for those prices to go up.
And because
then you're going to be
talk like
competing.
this, I actually can, put this information with my clients. And it's so much value
We
there.
pair each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
but
it's
people
a
don't
value
understand. Being a teacher and an educator in this business, it's hard to think about every possible scenario to teach up front.
Right.
So the value of just being in the four walls of where there's action going on is where all the minutia.
It's kind of it's a hive mind in here of real estate and mortgage information. We might not even be directly talking to each other. This is a very open office, but just hearing that kind of information about the market or what's going on with houses, just being in here, we are such a value add to each other. Again, this is also that argument for a team environment in real estate is
100%.
Team environment, lender in office. I value you being in office, because then even if I don't know the answer to a question a client proposes, I'm like, I know that my lender in office, she has got everything covered, and if not, she can get it. So we can start there, and I trust her. And you should trust her too, even if you choose not to go with her. Which I'm hoping that you're going to go with her. But my point is that even to start there for information.
100%.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about your your personal life. You have
Yes, I have two boys. I have two boys heading into those teen years. Yes, and two puppies. So I say I have 4 children. You know, and it takes a village. I had one dog that was sick this weekend, and grandma and grandpa jumped in and took them to the vet, you know. So when you've got 4 beings,
you're responsible for all of them.
yeah, we all have these little dogs. Angela and I have the same. We both have Havanese. I have a brother and sister.
Dog loving company.
Yes, yes. And my 2 boys are just so much fun. They're 15 and 12.
Yeah,
so,
cuties.
yeah.
You're a good mama. You managed to juggle it all very well too.
We all
You do a
juggle,
good
but we
job.
all juggle. Yeah.
But we have help, like, right? We have each other to support each other for those times. that we
So
need to.
Kathy, tell us about you. Tell us about your career in real estate and juggling, being a mama.
Fabulous. Put the spotlights on you, ladies
Oh,
and gentlemen.
goodness.
Today, I always
She
get it.
is.
I've always been out there having to beat the drum. So today, I'm going to take the back seat and I'm going to just love on you guys and point out all your attributes and introduce you all to our audience, because I think y'all deserve it. And you guys don't realize the value and the amazing people that you get here at Experience Real Estate Partners. So today, I wanted to give you a glimpse. I'm going to stop it right there and encourage you to reach out and talk to Curtis, Angela, and Lauren, and let us help you with any of your needs in real estate. We've got you covered. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.